Welcome to Low-Key PD. In this video, we're going to explore the checkbox questions in Google Forms. So I'm going to turn this question into a checkbox question, but before I do, I want to pay particular attention to the fact that the multiple choice questions, for the options, they all have a circle next to them. This is important. When you have a multiple choice question in an online form, that circle next to the option is called a radio button. Typically when you click on one, it gets filled in with a little dot. And what's going on there is the multiple choice questions with the radio buttons, the circular buttons, are indicative of the fact that you are only allowed to choose one of the options provided, and only one. When I change this to a checkbox question, watch what happens to those circles. Now they're little squares. For checkbox questions, the assumption is that you could choose more than one of these answers. This could be one of those questions where you're asking which of the following statements are true, select all that apply, because there may be more than one that's true. And because those circles changed to squares, visually, we know that we are allowed to choose potentially more than one of these answers. That's the difference between the squares and the circles. Squares, you can check more than one answer, and you may have to check more than one answer. Circles, you're only allowed to choose one answer. So checkboxes and multiple choice questions look similar, but when you understand the differences, you can ask much more interesting questions. These allow you to ask questions where users have to select perhaps multiple inputs in order to answer the question or provide you the information. If you're teaching and you're using this as a quiz, this is a great higher order thinking skill, having to choose multiple correct answers from a list because they're no longer looking for the one that's the best or the one that's correct. They have to make a decision about each and every option available. Does it get selected? Does it not get selected? You can even add images as your options. That's kind of neat. You can add images in the question by clicking on these little image buttons. And so that's how you can use checkbox questions in Google Forms to get more information from your students or whoever is taking the form with just one question. If you want to validate checkbox questions, you can require that users select at least so many, at most so many, or exactly a certain number, and then you just set the number. If you want, you can shuffle the option order to mix the options around. This can be useful if you're having them basically use it as a multiple selection, multiple choice question. Stuff will be out of order. It's a little bit difficult to keep track of two or three of these, the order that they're selected and written, so you can get a little bit of added test security that way. But just a great way to elicit information from students taking a quiz or a test, or even just users filling out a form for informational purposes.